What's up everybody, back again giving you my top 5 exercises for each muscle group, and today we're doing back. Honestly, it was hard for me to pick just 5 exercises for back because there are so many different good exercises that you can do to build up a strong back, but here we go. Exercise number 1, the king of all exercises, the deadlift. Now I have a bunch of different tips for this because this is a pretty complicated movement that people don't always know how to do correctly. Tip number 1, you want to start with a narrow stance, and you're going to have your arms about shoulder width on the bar. I see people do this exercise all the time where they have their feet way too far apart and their arms are basically extended out to the side trying to grip the bar. You're going to be strongest if you keep your feet narrow and you keep your arms about shoulder width on the bar. For posture, you want to keep a straight back, keep your core tight and engaged throughout the whole movement, and keep a neutral head. So your head should not be craned upwards, you should not be looking straight ahead, just keep your head very neutral throughout the movement. Keep your core engaged throughout the entire movement, and of course keep your back straight. You do not want to do a deadlift with a curved back, you will mess yourself up. Tip number 3 is to lock your arms and to tuck in your elbows. So when you're setting up, when you grab the barbell at the bottom before you lift, make sure that your arms are completely straightened. That will reduce your risk of getting a bicep tear if your arms are slightly bent, and you want to tuck in your elbows to engage your lats on this movement. The last tip that I'm going to give is to make sure that you lift with your back and with your legs. You don't want this to be strictly a leg-based movement or strictly a back-based movement, or else you will mess up your lower back. So make sure that your entire posterior chain is engaged throughout the whole movement and lift with both your back and with your legs. Exercise number 2 is the bent over barbell rows. For this exercise, you're going to bend over at your hips and at your knees, have about a 45-degree angle with the ground, and make sure that your back is straight and your core is tight throughout the whole movement. My number 1 tip is to pull through your elbows. So to make sure that you're engaging your lats the way this movement is meant, imagine that you're pulling the barbell with your elbows through to your stomach. My next tip is to row to about your belly button. So you don't want to be rowing to around your sternum area, you want it to be a lower row, so bring the bar into about your belly button area. And lastly, make sure you're using full range of motion and completely extend your arms on the way down. A lot of people do half reps with this exercise and don't completely extend their arms on the way down. So make sure that you're using full range of motion on this exercise. Exercise number 3 is the dumbbell bent over rows. There's a lot of ways to set up for this exercise, but for the purpose of this video, the version that I did is putting one hand and one knee on a flat bench. Number 1 tip for this exercise again is to pull through your elbows. For any rowing movement, to make sure you're engaging your lats, imagine that you're pulling the weight through your elbows to your back. A big key for this exercise is to row the dumbbell towards your hip. So instead of rowing the dumbbell straight up and down like most people do, you want to row the dumbbell slightly backwards towards your hip. That will help to engage more of your lats on this exercise. Another good key is to push against the bench hard with your opposite hand. This will help to brace your core and give you a little more strength by pushing off with one hand and pulling with the other hand. My 4th exercise is seated cable rows. So again, number 1 tip for this exercise is to pull through your elbows. Again, for all rowing exercises, this will help to engage your lats. Another tip similar to the previous 2 exercises is you want to row towards your belly button. So instead of rowing towards your chest area, you want to row it down towards your hips and belly button area to best engage your lats. Another key regarding posture is that on the extension of this exercise, you can lean slightly forward to fully stretch out your lats, and then on the way back, when you pull the weight towards you, don't lean too far back. You can get a slight lean in your back to get a little bit of momentum and to squeeze your lats at the end of the exercise. And lastly, exercise number 5 is the cable lat pullovers. This is kind of a difficult exercise to master. You kind of have to figure out how to engage your lats on this exercise, which is a little bit tricky. The number 1 thing to remember in this exercise is to keep stiff arms all the way through. Do not extend at your elbows at all during this exercise. That will engage your triceps and negate the effect of the exercise on your back. Again, good thing to remember with all back exercises is to pull through your elbows. Again, this will help to engage your lats on the exercise. A good tip for this exercise is to pretend you're doing a front lat spread at the bottom of the movement. So as you bring the weight down, pretend you're doing a front lat spread and flare out your lats, engage your lats at the bottom of the movement. And lastly, keep your lats engaged throughout the whole movement. So on the way down and on the way up, keep the tension on your back, on your lats throughout the entire movement. And those are my top 5 exercises for back. If I missed any good ones that you think should have been on this list, leave them in the comments below and let me know which muscle group you want me to do next. As always, leave a big thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.